So welcome back to this little series with some tips and tricks for MX bikes, and in this video I will go over my tips on how to qualify for a pro race. And this is only going to be for the ARL, like that's my focus, because that is the official kind of MX bikes racing league. So if you want to race pro but you're struggling a little bit in qualifying, this is a video for you. If you're struggling to qualify for Pro-Am, this video will also be for you. Same tips apply for Pro-Am. This video was suggested by someone in the comments, and if you have video suggestions, leave a comment or join my Discord. I have a dedicated channel in my Discord for that. So first of all, if you're thinking about qualifying pro, I think you should first consider how much time and effort you are ready to put in. This might sound very deep, and at the end of the day, it's just a video game, but I think you should consider how much time and effort you are willing to put in, because you are going to have to put in both time and effort to be able to qualify for pro. And if you don't really want it, maybe you just like the idea of racing pro, it's just gonna be frustrating and not fun at all. So my number one tip is going to be to build confidence and just gain experience by just participating in real qualifying scenarios, like with real pressure. And if you can consistently just keep improving every week, so will your confidence, and the more confident you are, the easier it will be to qualify for the next week. And it is also very important that you do not get discouraged that you didn't qualify after 1 week of practice. Like, it's all about winning the small battles and improving a tiny bit every week, and to actually see the improvement, even though it might only be like one position better than the week before. And just think, I improved from last week. I'm not where I want to be yet, but I'm improving, because you're not going to be able to qualify in just 1 week of practice, most likely, right? Because in reality, you're not going to magically qualify overnight, right? It took me over a whole season to be able to consistently qualify for pro, and there is going to be bad days and backtracks that you struggle on. So don't quit just because you had a bad qualifying. Keep going and just keep improving for next week. And if you're currently racing the ARL Pro-Am, you're pretty fast, because some of the top qualifiers in Pro-Am is basically pro players. They just didn't make the pro race, right? Many people might find it easy or somewhat easy to go somewhat fast by yourself in testing, but once the pressure is on in qualifying, all your skills seems to just disappear, right? I felt this kind of way when I started to try to qualify for pro, and this was mostly because I was just so nervous. Like, I know it's just a video game, but if you want to qualify for something, I mean, you're just gonna get nervous even if it's a game, right? Once I gotten more confidence, I now feel like the pressure kind of helps me to qualify. Like, the pressure kind of helps me focus and ride faster. But that's just because I have a lot of experience and I built the confidence over a long period of time. And one of the things I often did when I was newer and tried to qualify is that I was on a good lap and I just kept on looking at the time all the time, right? Just to try to see how much I was up on my last lap. And by doing this, I got even more nervous, and I most of the time ended up just choking it by crashing or just making a big mistake. And this is definitely something I highly recommend that you stop doing if you're doing, because it have ruined so many qualifyings for me. And I feel like this is something that is very easy to do, that you just stare at the time all the time instead of focusing on the track. And the best way to avoid looking at your time, in my opinion, is just to focus on hitting your marks. And this will also make you more consistent just in general. So this is a tip for racing and basically anytime you play, right? And what I mean by this is you want to focus on your technique, your line choice, and most importantly, you want to focus on how you want to execute the section you are currently in. And the important thing here that I really want you to listen to is that you want to focus on the corner or section that you are currently in, and not the section coming up or the next corner, right? You want to focus on the corner that you are currently in. So the important part is that we want to stay present in the moment, and we want to focus on what we are doing right now. Because right now, you can't fuck up the next corner, right? You can only fuck up this corner, right? And the more you are focused on doing what you're doing right now, and the less focus you have on everything else around you, the more focus and effort you can put into doing this corner that you're doing right now very good, right? I'm not saying you shouldn't set up for the next section. It's very important that you have a plan for where you want to go in the next section as well, but focus on executing the section you are coming into right now and where you want to end up in that section, right? So if you're coming into a corner, you want to know how you want to hit the corner to get a good exit so that you can enter the next section good, right? This way you will also be a lot more consistent, and consistency is also very important in qualifying. Not in the same way as in racing, because in qualifying you have 30 minutes to go one good lap, right? If you're not consistent enough to hit a lap in 30 minutes, you're not gonna be able to get a time for the end of the qualifying, right? So you have to be careful, because you want to be consistent enough so that you can finish a lap, but you also need to send it, right? And a big part of qualifying and hot lapping in general is that you just need to send it. This is something I really struggle with. I like to ride in my comfort zone, but when in qualifying you might have to go a little bit outside your comfort zone, but not too far out, because then you won't be able to finish a lap. So how do we practice qualifying? Well, the simplest way is to use practice hot laps, since that is basically what you do in qualifying, and just practice going as fast as possible. You can be in testing, you can be in a server with your friends, doesn't matter, as long as you're focused and practicing going as fast as possible. And one thing that could help you to go faster in hot laps is to not use a brake, or at least don't use them as much. So the main idea is that we don't want to use a lot of brake, because then we lose all our momentum. It's all about keeping the speed throughout the corner, so if you then go hard on your brakes, you're gonna lose all momentum and you're gonna have to build up the speed again, right? Another thing is to always have throttle, or almost always have throttle. And I'm not talking full throttle. Like when you're going straight, you want to have full throttle, but when you're coming into corners or maybe a tight section, or just places in general that aren't just straight, you want to have a little bit of throttle all the time, just to keep the momentum going. So in hot laps, it's all about momentum. Another thing to be good at is to be able to learn tracks fast and figure out the lines. And the best way to practice this is to just download new tracks and give yourself a set time, maybe 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 1 hour, and just try to hit as fast as lap as you possibly can. And within that time, you also want to learn the track. So give yourself 1 hour to learn a track and hit as fast as a lap as you possibly can. And what I would recommend for learning a track is to first do a sight lap. Just go slow, just look at the lines, look at where the bumps are, kind of that, and try all the lines. Try different lines on the track and kind of feel and try to figure out which is faster, and then just keep on increasing the speed and just go as fast as possible. Another really important thing is to understand how and which lines are the fastest, because you might be really good at learning a track, but if you don't know what the good lines are, you're gonna take the wrong lines either way. And the first thing you can do is just keep on trying different lines and trying to feel and figure out which line is the fastest. Another thing you can do is to play with faster people that are better at hot lapping, or maybe just follow faster riders in qualifying and just see what lines they take and just kind of how they take that line. Because, well, you might know the fastest line, but you don't know how to hit it as fast as possible. So by just looking and analyzing other people, other faster people riding tracks and hot lapping, and kind of seeing what they are doing, that could really help as well. And if you're lonely like me, you can also watch YouTube of someone hot lapping or similar stuff like that. Line choice is also another really important thing that I think most people overlook in qualifying. Most people just go there and send it, but if you're not taking the correct line, no matter how hard you're sending it, you're not gonna go fast. Because everyone can kind of twist the throttle, especially in a video game where you don't have any physical fatigue or something, but you need to be able to use and maintain the speed, otherwise you're gonna be slow either way. And the thing I really focus on is when I enter a corner or a section, first of all I want to know what line I want to take, which rut in the corner, and then I want to focus on being very smooth and fluent in my motions, and I want to enter the corner at the very beginning and follow it all the way around. So I don't want to enter in the middle of the corner, because then you have to stop and then accelerate again. If we enter at the very beginning to kind of open up the corner, this way we can come in and we maintain the speed we already have, and then we accelerate instead of stopping and accelerating. And this is something basic that you should practice either way, no matter what. If you're trying to qualify or trying to get better at races, this is like a fundamental thing that you need to practice if you want to be good at the game. Another thing is just running low fuel. Like most of the time I run 1 liter of fuel in qualifying. It just makes the bike lighter and it's easier to go fast. And this is something that you just can put on. Like you don't have to practice it to anything. And you could save a few tenths here and there by just running lower fuel, having the bike lighter. So just something to try. You're not gonna be able to run many laps in succession. You're going to have to go back to pits and reset the fuel, and maybe that upsets your rhythm and your flow. In that case, you have to make a decision if it's worth it. But I mean, many times in qualifying I crash either way, or I have a bad lap and I just want to get a good run up to the finish before a lap. So for me it doesn't really matter, since I often go back to the pits either way. And the last and maybe the most important tip is you might be going too fast. Because what I see from some people is if they have like a good lap, they probably could qualify, but they just trying to go too fast, so they just doesn't make it. Like they can't finish a lap. I talked about this a little bit earlier as well, because you also have to consider if you're going too fast, you're not gonna be able to finish a lap, or you're gonna make some mistakes, or you're gonna crash. You're not gonna finish a good lap, right? So it's really important to combine going fast with being smooth and consistent. And this is not like consistent in as going without crashing for many laps in a row. This is just being consistent enough and smooth enough to not make any big mistakes and not crash for 1 lap. Because in qualifying I can do 5 laps and I crash 4 of them. That is okay in qualifying, because I can do like probably 20 laps maybe, depending on how long we have in qualifying. But if you can't get 1 good lap in, you're probably going a little bit too fast for what you're able, and you should probably slow down and focus on being a little bit smoother, even though that might feel slower. So that is everything from this video. Just a quick summary. First, consider how much time and effort you want to put on it. Second of all, most important in my opinion, gain experience under pressure in real qualifying scenarios. Learn and find ways to handle your nerves. And hitting your marks and really focusing on hitting your marks could be a really good way to kind of handle your nerves, because you're so focused on the game so that you stop thinking about everything else, right? It's really hard to do, but if you can get good at it, it will definitely really help you. You also need to be willing to send it, and since you have many laps, you can't send it more than you usually do in a race. But you also need to be able to finish a lap, right? Because you can't just throw away all your laps. Also, practice hot laps, practice learning tracks, and just look at how other people and what lines they are doing, and just learn what lines are the fastest on different tracks. And also how you hit corners and stuff like that really matters in qualifying. Like in races you can get away with cutting in a little bit in the corner. You might just lose 1/10 in 1 lap, but in qualifying 1/10 might be the decider between your qualifying or not. And run low fuel, maybe like 1 liter if you want to. It's just a quick easy tip if you want to try. So yeah, if you have questions or suggestions, join my Discord or leave a comment. If you like the video, like and subscribe.